I'm like, I don't sit here long enough.
Okay, we are live. I'm just getting our audio up. And it is over.
Yeah, is the recording going or is it?
The recording is live, yes.
Good evening, folks. First off, do our video recording disclaimer. This disclaimer is to inform all participants that this meeting conducted in person via Zoom will be recorded for record-keeping purposes. By participating in the meeting, you consent that the recording may contain, 1, your video stream, including images of yourself, 2, your audio stream. This includes any opinions you contribute. Anyone attending the recorded meeting may have aspects of their personal data recorded if they actively participate or not. By staying in the meeting, you consent to being recorded. By consenting and attending the meetings virtually or in person, participants also agree to recordings being posted to YouTube or other distribution services. Also read our land acknowledgement. Armour Township is situated on the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe. Armour Township recognizes the historical and contemporary contributions of the local First Nations and the peoples of Turtle Island. We have a couple sets of minutes to kick things off. Council of the Township of Armour approved the minutes of the public meeting held on March 24th, 2026 as circulated. Get a mover.
Sure.
Jerry.
Sure.
Seconded by Rod. Any errors, edits, omissions? All those in favor? That's carried. I did want to note one minor change on our regular minutes.
Okay. Under
the delegations. I'm only doing this because if somebody reads it after the fact, I don't want them to question things. There was a comment made. When Allison was speaking about the taxes, the comment was made, it was noted that this represents the lowest tax increase in the surrounding area.
Yep.
It was me that said it, and what I meant was, maybe I didn't say it properly, was we had the lowest tax rate, not the lowest tax increase. So I'm just mentioning it because somebody may see that and say, we had a lower tax increase, you guys.
I think you said tax rate. I don't think.
I think I said tax.
I think you said tax rate.
So I just wanted to correct either way. Council Township of Armour approved the minutes of the regular council meeting as amended. If I can get a mover, Jerry. Seconder.
Sure.
Percy. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Do we have any declarations of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof is on tonight's agenda? Okay, none noted. And we have 3 delegations tonight. So we have Dave Creaser online, we have Danica in the room, and we have Allison in the room. So Dave, you're on Zoom and you're up first. It's over to you. I know you've been busy. You hear us, Dave?
I'll just ask him to unmute there. There you go.
Hello, good evening. I'm not sure. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry about that. I had to switch internet Wi-Fi. I guess I was on a bad Wi-Fi. I apologize. Was there a question asked of me? I did miss it.
No, it's over to you, Dave, for your just a quick overview report. We've got a couple of resolutions for you here as well. So
excellent. So maybe we'll start off with we have a few tenders that have come in. Generally, they're all generally within our budget. The first off was our surface treatment tenders, which included work being done on Ferguson Road. We prepared it last year and it did winter fairly well. There's still some movement, but I think we reduced the majority of the humps and bumps. So I think people will be pleased with the outcome on that. It also includes Skyline Drive, getting a micro seal across the top. That's basically a slurry seal to seal the road up again. A little bit of profile correction here and there as well. And the low bidder was Duncor once again. We've had them in, it looks like Armour's had them in the last number of years. There was an increase of a few percent over last year's prices. Let's see what we have. Our previous years, so there was some increase to that, and that's reflected, I think, a lot of it with the fuel price increase we've seen over the years. The next tender we had was our gravel tender, and their low bid was Weeks Construction, and they will be pulling out of the Highway 520 pit near East Road, and their price was about 3, almost 4% more than our price we had last year through Fowler Construction. So it wasn't too bad. We're pretty happy with that price compared to everything else going up. This is heavily related to fuel, and the price of fuel has gone up quite a bit. So we're happy to get the the gravel on the road as soon as we can at that price. The other one we have moving forward was the rubber tire excavator. We did have some trouble getting a price from Case through the canoe procurement policy, the public procurement group, and RTI was a low price, and they came in at budget, right, just maybe a little bit over, but very close and well within reasonable amount. And they have a piece of equipment that's in stock. They have several pieces of equipment in stock in the United States, and they could probably get it to us within a month. The local service and repair would be done through AFC Sunridge, and that Hyundai equipment would come with a reputable motor, Cummins motor. I have been through this process a few times, one with Whitestone, and the low bid was a Hyundai, and they did purchase a Hyundai, and it was a good machine. It's a reliable machine, and no real problems with it. And also while I was at Perry, a rubber tire, 14-ton rubber tire machine came in through there. Low bid was also Hyundai, and that was back in 2013, and it's been a good machine while I was there, and also while Randy was there. So we're quite happy with that. Moving on, we've had quite the snow melt and rainfall, and quite a bit of flooding happening throughout the municipality that's keeping the roads department quite busy. The roads guys recently just left for the night, and they'll be back in early in the morning. Right now we're at the mercy of Mother Nature. We're monitoring the water coming up, but it does look like that there is rain in the forecast going into the weekend. After the weekend, looks like we got some cooler weather coming in and some slowing down, which will help. Tomorrow looks like we'll get a small amount of rain, so we might be able to get ahead of some of these washouts that we've got. We've got road closures on Cherry Hill at 460 Cherry Hill. East of that, Stony Road, there's one between 172 and 205. Those are civic addresses. And Chetwynd Road, we've got one between 2363 and 2595, and that's near our border with Kearney, just at that end. And the water is coming up, so until it starts to come down, hopefully by morning, can we open things back up? I know we've had to open up Cherry Hill to a single lane once, and then the water came down and they came back up. So we're really at the mercy of Mother Nature, and we're going to see how things pan out. We've had washouts all over the place, sinkholes all over the place that we've been trying to clean up. So we're going to take a look at this in the future and see what can be done in these areas as well. See if there's something can be done that would help. Some of the areas are flatter and they're kind of equalizing. There's not a lot can be done, but we're gonna see what we can do to help that. Does anyone have any questions on our?
Just quick question, Dave. So are we officially in a significant weather event right now?
I would say yes. It's hard to measure exactly what the damage is until the water comes down and recedes. But is it beyond our? I think that's 1% of our operating budget. It very well could be. Like we're looking at what the information we have, and MNR just put out another statement at 4:30 today saying that we're expecting weather well into the weekend with rain and flooding to increase, not decrease, over the next few days. So they're letting residents know to prepare for these difficult times with flooding, and they're going to impact the roads, absolutely, our road network. And So, yes, I would say it's prudent to go ahead and issue that statement. We are overwhelmed. There's nothing we can do until the water recedes. We can protect our assets. We had an issue on South Horn as well by the bridge there where it was washing as well. But all we can do is protect our infrastructure and our assets. And if it's a choice between opening a hole in the road and protecting our bridges or our major culverts, that's what we'll do, just to let the water subside, and then we'll come back and fill that in just to get traffic going as quick as possible. Because if we have a loss on one of those major infrastructures, major culverts or major bridge, then that's going to take a long time to repair and replace. So to protect those assets, we're monitoring the water as it comes up and monitoring where the weak points are and how we can protect our assets and get the traveling public going as soon as possible. So we may need to bring in some contractors to get us going once the weather has a break, I guess I would say. But likely tomorrow, we hope to open up the roads that are closed, and we may have flooding in those places again. Going towards the weekend. Thursday could be another day of this.
Dave. I appreciate all your efforts, Dave. It's been a difficult week again. We've got 3 resolutions related to Dave's report, and I'll read out. Staff report from the road supervisor dated April 14, 2026 regarding tender 2026-02 for surface treatment microseal on various roads be received and the Council of Township of Armour approve and award the contract to Duncore Enterprises for a tender price of $292,831.40 plus HST. Dorothy and then Jerry. Any questions for David on this one or for the other David? All those in favor? Carried. Next up, the staff report from the road supervisor dated April 14, 2026 regarding tender received, regarding tender 2026-03 for the supply, delivery, and spreading of granular materials of various roads be received and the Council of Township of Armour approve and award the contract to Weeks Construction for a tender price of $138,640 and HST. Wendy? Sure. Rod? Questions on this one? All those in favor? That's carried. Last but not least, Council of Township of Armour hereby receives the staff report from the road supervisor dated April 14, 2026 regarding the purchase of a wheeled excavator through the Canoe Public Procurement Program. And further, the council approves the purchase and awards the contract to RTI Equipment Solutions the amount of $350,643.03 plus HST. Further, that any budget overage be funded from the capital reserves. Chair. Seconder. Questions on this one? All those in favor? That's carried. So you're good to carry on your good work there, David.
I was just thinking, imagine saying like, no, we're just not gonna, sorry.
Thank you very much. Make us very happy. Thank you.
Anything else for Dave? You're welcome to stay. Otherwise, have a good evening.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Good evening.
Danica, we have no money left. Okay.
Next up for delegations, we have Danica from the Recreation Coordinator about the Heritage Festival 2026. And we have 3 versions of a resolution based on your report. So over to you, Danica.
Yeah, so you guys have the report in front of you. After I had been to the council since meeting with the Historical Society the first time, we had kind of chatted about what is kind of written out there in option 1 with kind of doing a micro event. And then since then received an email from Nancy Kite, who's kind of been more or less the representative of the subcommittee for the Historical Society. And coming back from their meeting saying that they would prefer to do option 2 due to parking restraints at the Watt Farm. And then option 3 is the defer the 2026 programming to allow for strategic planning. So instead of rushing into something that might not stick or might not be what you guys were looking for, or whatever you would like to see, and just kind of taking a minute and figuring out what you'd like to do with those funds, with the additional consideration of putting some of that money towards a grand opening potentially at the new fire hall. So either one of those options.
So we discussed this at the KCC meeting last night, and I wondered about providing an amount of money that can be determined through your budget for cake and tea and corn, if that's what they wish, to be held at the Watt Farm, just a very small open house kind of. I mean, I know it's always open, right? But like an open house with snacks and treats and whatnot, so that it is utilizing the Watt Farm as opposed to hosting a dance at the KCC. I recognize that there's concerns with the parking, but if it's an all-day drop-in and you just drop in and get a cup of tea and a piece of cake or whatnot, do you think that's something they would consider? Is that something we could consider?
I can't speak on their behalf, and you can kind of lean on Shar and Diane for the volunteerism portion of it. I believe that's kind of on the lower end. So
I don't want to see nothing at all.
Yeah.
I also don't, I think a 50-60 stance would be a ton of fun. I don't know how it attaches to the actual like historical society. I'm trying to think of a joke about 50s and 60s, but anyway. And then the first one, I don't like, we stopped using it because we ran out of space there, right? So to try to go back to it, do you think that's feasible? Is it practical?
Triangle did use it. We were at the field across the road. We can't use that, so we've only got
Such a small space, yeah.
It's just a small space. So, but we have a meeting on Monday night, so I believe that's on our agenda, right, Char? Yeah.
So it sounds like option one is not even an option. Option three, I don't, it wouldn't be ideal. And option two isn't really related to the historical society.
Like one of the concerns we had with the way the Heritage Festival was going is that, well, first of all, it's getting big. But second of all, it wasn't really, to Dorothy's point, it wasn't really making use of the Watt Farm. Like there was no relationship between the Watt Farm and what we were doing. It had gotten so big. So it would be nice to see something happening there actually at the Watt Farm.
Yeah.
And I mean, years ago, wasn't that long ago, it was basically what you were describing. It was a cake ceremony, cake and coffee, and we didn't have to worry too much about parking because we didn't have the fireman's challenge and we didn't have a ton of people coming in. So it was kind of a rotating, from what I recall.
Yeah.
And it was the timing is because I mean, with what we've been hosting in before, it was set in a few hours. Other open houses at the museum were from, I don't know,
I
times.
think we went from 11 to 3, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, so it's more of a, and it's not so much of a, I mean, don't get me wrong, but I mean, you go in, you tour around, there's nothing left, you leave.
Right.
Whereas everything else we had vendors, you had food, you had the car show, you had the firefighters, like there was
Something for everyone, yeah.
keeping people moving about in the area for several hours. You go around the walk, you go around the museum, you've seen it. Like unless there's a few people probably like I go through it and I'll go through it again. But
I think one of the biggest reasons why the Heritage Festival came in town was Canada Day, and Armour wanted to change and not be the same day as everybody else. So we went into the fairgrounds and used our money for that big day there and made it fantastic. And thank you, Char, for all you've done in the past. Like that's huge.
And everybody that got pink eye, thanks you for the dunk tank.
And that when that happened, the Heritage Day got away from the museum and it got away from Wiseman's Corner.
I don't see.
But they were still involved, but
We just
in a different way.
It's a different event. We tried to combine two.
That's why we had to move it.
Yeah.
2 units at once. I mean, I can see where the Heritage Day's gotten big. And I wouldn't want to say, let's not bother doing it. Maybe we need to rethink it again. But there's no reason why we can't do something at the museum, much the same as we did. And we could focus again on Heritage Day. Maybe it would be better if there's room at the fire hall, we could do something there.
It'd be better to partner up with the Ag Society and partner up with them at the same time, I think. Just my own opinion,
So
because it's at the fairgrounds.
forgive me for my memory, how busy is the KCC in February? Like, we have
Carnival.
Carnival.
So
So I'm wondering,
for 2 solid weeks, pretty much
Yeah.
is set up, and then Carnival itself.
because I wonder if in sometime in our like not peak season, I mean, the KCC is also rented on weekends for even like weddings and things that are outside of the township, like generating revenue for the township. So I'm wondering if we could look at the 50s, 60s dance in October
I personally don't think the 50-60 dance is a bad idea. I think timing wise, July, I don't think you're gonna have the attendance that should be there. So that as a fundraiser for them is brilliant. I think you'd get that. And just a side note, from being a DJ on it, they're well attended, but no dance is well attended unless you have the people already there, like your hockey tournaments, your whatever, right? Even weddings, stag and does, they're not well attended between the hot months. So from like May to September, they're poor attendance. If you get into the people are bored at home, October, November, December, or not December, January.
and
February,
November is
yes.
busy for us already.
Yeah.
But so I wonder if we look at if we do cake for Heritage Day, we give them $1,000 cake and tea, and then we look at doing a fundraiser dance sometime in the off season. And so Danica has just like changed the ball, or the recreation committee has the ball tournament weekend as well, and it's now going to have a dance. So that would be 1 week before, 2 weeks before. So it would be a lot of dances in July at the KCC. So I'm not sure that any of these options are.
So suggestion though, and I think the stuff that we did with the Heritage Festival in the past was awesome. Like there were probably three solid years that was huge. And it was great. I think everybody enjoyed it. It was great. It just got to a point where it was hard to do the same thing every year. But I'm wondering if we could go back to the Watt Farm for this year for just a small, like a cake ceremony, that's kind of thing we used to do. But start planning for something big when the fire hall opens, because the firefighters challenge, presumably that could happen there. I would think there's enough room there, sure, depending on whether it's cleared or not.
I don't know.
But we've got lots of time to figure that out, because it wouldn't be this year, it would be like a year from now. And it's a way of doing a true grand opening and having the challenge, have the firefighters challenge, and it's on Armour property. So it becomes a bigger deal. Plus everybody's going to see it from the highway. Like it's a great location for that sort of thing. So just a thought that maybe tone it down this year, we'd get back to focusing on the Watt Farm, because the other thing with the Watt Farm is we've invested a fair amount of money there. And we'd like, even if we can get a few people that'll see it for the first time and maybe go back, that would be helpful.
Good idea, Rod. We'll have a grand opening for the red building.
Well, I can bring up at the meeting on Monday night, 50s and 60s dance. Probably be a good idea in August when the corn is more ripe. You can have a corn roast with the dance.
At the Watt Farm is what you're thinking, like under a tent kind of thing.
Or maybe at the KCC if it's available. Just a thought just popped into my head there. You guys were talking about the dancing.
Yeah, I think some of the discussions that we've had as well, Danica and I have discussed, and we've also had, I guess, some conversations with some of the partners involved with the fire partnership. So I think a couple of things are important. Number one, I think that as what's noted in the report here for some staff support to help the Historical Society get things moving. I know that it suggests in here for lead event coordination. I think there's opportunities with the expertise of recreation staff to help to coordinate that event. But I think if it is going to be something that focuses on the Watt Farm, the heritage the heritage site, it would be good to make sure that we're honoring the work that the Historical Society is doing as well. So it'd be great to have some of that input, but know that there'll be support there from staff to help get the ball rolling and to get things moving. I think that's a critical function. And it would be nice to see those events happening. And depending on timing, it would be neat if we were closer to even doing privatized tours through the Red Building, if we're in a position where that happens, to your point, Jerry. So maybe a bit more planning to happen as things roll out. But I think in all the discussions that Danica and I have had was to reserve a portion of funds to make sure that a heritage focused celebration, whether it's branded as Heritage Day or whatever it's going to be, Heritage Highlight, whatever you want to have it, that there's some support for that. And depending on what that needs between that and the dance or what have you. One of the other things that I was thinking is it'd be nice to get out there and do a proper assessment of down in front of where the barn is right now, the Red Building, as to what type of realistic parking capacity we have there. I would like to.
So we need to I know we have to put fill in
right
there behind the farmhouse.
So we were planning, you and I had talked, Diane, about going out with Andrew, our CBO, and maybe going back out with Dave Creaser, just to get a sense of what can we do. And I'd like to have some firm numbers on how many we could expect to park there, because I think having a firm number will help with planning moving forward. And instead of, suggesting we don't have parking, let's figure out how much parking we either do or don't have. And that way we can plan, and it helps you guys for planning future activities, events. So maybe one more council meeting in between here and making a decision, if that makes sense to everybody involved. And hopefully we can get on the property and have a look at things now that we're not dealing with so much storm.
Yeah.
Before the cluster flies happen.
Okay.
We want to defer the options for now, or do we want to go with option 2 and assume that we'll do more work on a potential bigger thing at the fire hall next year?
Well, option 2 is the dance, is it not?
Oh, option 2 is the
I
dance.
think you do option 1. So that's something at the Watt farmhouse.
Yeah.
With the extras moving towards doing something potentially with the fire.
If we're doing option 1, can we reduce the estimated cost? Because I can't imagine cake and tea being $4,500.
So Allison brought up a good thing with regards to budget. So we have $7,500 that we have budgeted under the Heritage Day budget line. So what I might suggest is, realistically, the budget's been approved. I think the whole purpose of this discussion is to kind of get, is to land on what recreation, the Historical Society and Council feels would best capture what we can do for this year. So the resolutions, I think, is if council wants to make a statement at this point, we can do that. If not, we can defer that until we land on what the Historical Society has the capacity to do.
I like the idea of deferring until we figure out exactly what it is we're doing.
We are dealing with a bit of a moving target, and hats off to everybody for having, you guys have met a couple of times.
I think I would rather meet with you, let us talk about it at our meeting on Monday night, than to try and make a decision here tonight. That's my feeling. I don't know, how do you feel, Sharp?
Doesn't matter to me.
So we'll table this one. Okay.
Hats off for the work that's gone in. We still have a bit of, I think, a lot of discussions to have with regard to, who does what exercise. There's a lot of transition and change going on. So I'd rather have open dialogue and come back with a solid look at things. If we're pushing out to August, we still have a reasonable amount of time to plan, get advertising out, and let's get it right, as opposed to making a decision for making a decision.
Okay. Thanks for the input, folks. Danica, is there anything else you wanted to cover off while you're here?
Nothing as of yet, no. I'll have probably the next meeting anyways. I'll still have my actual report. I was just trying to get as much done so we could get planning done, but I'll bring that to the next meeting.
Okay. Any other questions for Danica?
I had one later on. You'll probably go home later on, and the thing here is that vendors are paid $30.
Sorry?
In the reports later on here.
Oh.
Bartenders, $30. A little high, isn't it?
Oh, is that in the fees by law? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
So we take 30 for a rental. And that's how it's been. That bartenders are 21, but we need to cover off costs.
So we charge out, like
Yeah.
we charge a renter $30.
It's just when I seen that, I go, what the heck are we doing?
Jerry's like,
Yeah. Are you,
Casey's.
we need smart cert.
We're gonna lose everybody at the Legion.
And it's fees by law on, I didn't look further down.
Yes, this would be a good opportunity to address any questions with that draft fee bylaw with Danica being here. If you have
Item is that.
The main reason, if I can speak while you guys are kind of looking for it, the main reason of the switch is our new program, Amelia. It doesn't really allow us to use the old fees bylaw and how John had originally had our rental rates. We pretty much need hourly for it to make sense. So some of the rentals, our shorter rentals will go up by $10, $15. Our long-term will be about the same. It'll all kind of even out in the wash doing the hourly. I don't think you're going to see much of a difference.
219.
Going up higher or lower on income. And
It's breaking it down to hourly for the new system.
yeah, as opposed to originally, I don't know if you guys remember how the rental was. It was, if you rented it for short term, it was $65 for 4 hours. If you rented it for just the hall, it was, I'm whipping out numbers, I don't have it in front of me, $195. But with the kitchen, then it was $310. With the bar, then it was this. Like, so it was just kind of all over the map and really hard. Renters had a really hard time reading it, first off. And then second, the program just does not agree with it. So this is just kind of simplifying it and going how a lot of other community centers do their rental fees anyways.
So for those without a program, we called it audible here. We're on item 51 on the agenda package for those in Zoom land. Okay, so this is just an adjustment to really fit in with the software more than anything. Okay, any questions on the user fees other than Jerry's? Okay. Any other questions for Danica? Thank you very much. You're welcome to stay, but you don't have to. Okay. Item 3 in the delegations, we are up to Allison and our budget. Grab your binders.
If you want your binder.
Over to you, Allison.
So just a brief summary of changes in the draft. So I received the 2025 fire surplus from the fire department. So that lowered the deficit that I had to bring forward. So with that, I didn't really want to reduce the rate that I had because we need to keep the rate going up. So I created a bylaw department reserve for the replacement of bylaw vehicles coming into the future. So I added $6,000 to the reserve because we have 2 vehicles in that department. So we kind of allotted, Dave and I talked about it, we allotted like $3,000 per vehicle. So I'll start that reserve this year and keep that going. I did a 2% of the library budget to create a library reserve for future capital. I created a recreation reserve and I followed the same process, the 2% of the budget for recreation for future capital because we did a lot of renovations to that building. We're going to have capital expenses coming in the future for things that we have to repair.
A roof over the arena.
Repair.
It'll be like 50 years at this rate. And I received a new library budget, so I had to increase what was proposed. Our fee went up higher because of the pay equity wages from Berks Falls for the library. So I received that new budget. So our library share has actually increased 37.21% compared to last year because of the new formula. And the overall library budget has increased 11.79%. I increased our planning and zoning fees just with the extra use of Bob Miller so far this year. We used him a little bit more than we were expecting, so I just increased that another $2,000 just to kind of cover like the shipping container stuff that we had going on. And I had moved 20,000. We were taking 20,000 out of capital reserves for the park slide at Halcyon Beach and the new garbage bins. So I've taken that, instead of being capital reserves, it's coming out of Parkland Trust. Because our Parkland Trust, we have to use that cash as lieu money within so many years. So I'm pulling that money out of the Parkland Trust instead of using capital reserves. And the Tulloch North Pickle Lake Bridge engineering, I increased that by $2,800 because there was invoice that we had missed. So I increased that. That's to do with that landowner dispute. So that we had with that bridge. So overall, the budget increase is 4.93% and the draft was 4.96. So it's gone down 0.03. So that results in a 3.38% residential tax increase. So on a house that's assessed at $200,000, it's $8.05 a month that it increases. On a house that has an assessment of $500,000, it's about $20.12 a month that the taxes would increase. Is there any questions?
No, you answered all my questions this afternoon. I'm all good. Excellent job. I'm not sure how you made those numbers work.
But we also have savings now. Like, not only did it save, but went into reserves. That
Yes, and as you see from the OREG report that Marjorie had done up, there's probably not enough savings still going into reserves. So my plan is to start, like, we've started a little bit of more reserves. Next year, I want to start increasing our capital reserve. So this year, like for the last, 10 years or so, we put 192,000 into capital reserves. I want to start increasing that. My plan is hopefully next year I can do it at 250 and start increasing it, because Marjorie basically said we're not even covering like half of our expenses, what we need. Yeah. So.
That OREG report, is this the first we've seen of that detailed of an OREG report?
No, she did it last year too.
Did she? Okay.
It wasn't, from what I can find, it wasn't provided from like 2022 to 2024 or 2021 to 2024, but previous to that, you got them. So
it wasn't that familiar to me, so
so she used to do them, and then it was supposed to be, and then when I took over, she told me that it had to be done.
It had to be done.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I got out of that, was that we're not putting enough away.
No, we're not putting enough away. So with the increase, I wanted to keep the increase kind of where we are at. That's for what our increase is this year. That seems to be the average for all the Almaquin municipalities this year, roughly. Some of them are a little bit higher from what I've seen. But I think that's a good increase to start, and then we can start increasing over the next couple of years.
Excellent job, Allison.
Yeah, that's great. Do we have a specific reserve on this building, or do we?
It would be our capital reserve.
It's in capital.
Yeah.
Just wondering after.
this building is big.
Maybe we should drill a well.
Great work, Allison, as usual. Any other questions?
I think it's fantastic that we're meeting, the ends are meeting, and we have some savings. We're in a good position. It's always nice to be able to save more, but we're in a good position. You've been saving for a while. Just save more.
Yes, try and save more. Oh, the other thing I should mention too, Dave Creaser did mention with the excavator that they were going to provide him a quote for financing. So I know in our budget, I've pulled 100,000 from reserves and 250,000 for a loan. So he was getting an option for financing to see how that would fit. So perhaps we'll see what the numbers look like, but we may come back to council with a financing option instead of the loan option, depending on what the numbers come out as. So.
Your loan would have been through Infrastructure Ontario.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so I think we have 3 resolutions related to budget. Whereas generally accepted accounting principles for local governments established by the Public Sector Accounting Board, PSAB, of the Chartered Professional Accountants of Canada require municipalities to capitalize and amortize tangible capital assets and to accrue liabilities related to post-employment and solid waste landfill closure and post-closure expenses. And whereas OREG 284-09 states that a municipality may exclude these expenses from budgeted amounts for which revenue must be raised. And whereas Ontario Regulation 284-09 requires councils to adopt a report that shows the impact of fully covering these costs. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Council Township of Armour approves the report entitled Municipal Act 2001, OREG 284-09, 2026 budget. Dorothy?
Sure.
And Rod? Any other questions on this one? All those in favor? That's carried. This is a small thing that needs to be addressed, whereas the municipality established a COVID-19 reserve to address costs associated with the COVID-19 pandemic. And whereas the remaining balance of $1,987 in the COVID-19 reserve is no longer required for its original purpose, therefore be it resolved that the Council Township of Armour approves the transfer of the remaining balance of $1,987 from COVID-19 reserve to the capital reserve, and further that the staff be authorized to complete all necessary financial and administrative actions to implement this transfer. Wendy, Dorothy.
Sorry, Jerry.
Okay, next, Jerry. All those in favor? That one's carried.
Got my vote in. So
And last but not least, whereas the municipality maintains both a landfill reserve and a recycling reserve, and whereas the Armour recycling reserve has a balance of $42,358 and the Armour landfill reserve has a balance of $407,690. Therefore, be it resolved that the Council of Township of Armour approves the consolidation of the Armour recycling reserve into the Armour landfill reserve, and further that the balance of $42,358 be transferred to the Armour landfill reserve, resulting in a combined balance of $450,048. Further, that staff be authorized to complete all necessary financial and administrative actions to implement this consolidation. Jerry.
yep.
Sure.
All those in favor? And that's carried. I think that's all your resolutions, Allison.
Appreciate
it. You're welcome to stay as well.
Might
Gonna
be
be
flooded,
slides?
eh? Might be flooded, can't it?
Yeah, it is flooded actually out that way. The pond at Rick Simpson's is flooded.
Oh, yeah. Okay, budgets. Okay, next up, we are into accounts for approval. Council Township of Armour approved the April 2026 accounts in the amount of $884,351.71 for payment, and the mayor and the treasurer hereby authorized to sign checks for same. Dorothy.
Sure.
Any questions on the accounts for Allison? Okay, all those in favor? That's carried. All righty, now we're into bylaws. We've got several of those, 9 of them, I think. Item 10 on the agenda. Council of Township of Armour have read and approved bylaw 16-2026, being a bylaw to enter into an agreement for municipal bylaw enforcement services with the Township of Macker, and that we authorize the mayor and clerk to sign this bylaw and affix the seal of corporation thereto. Wendy. Seconder.
Jerry,
Jerry.
Okay.
Okay.
put his hand up for me.
Let's bring us up to 8 now, Dave. 7 or 7 with bylaw municipalities.
We had Macker.
Oh, we had
I
the.
thought-
It's just redoing it.
Renewals.
I think pretty soon we're gonna have the Almagwin bylaw services as opposed to
That name's already taken. We'll have to get creative.
Almagwin bylaw services?
Or
The
maybe,
better Almagwin bylaw services.
oh, we're starting fights.
AAA. Okay, any questions on this agreement? Of this bylaw, all those in favor? It's carried. Council Township of Armour have read and approved bylaw 17-2026, being a bylaw to set tax ratios for municipal purposes for 2026. We authorize the mayor and clerk to sign this bylaw and affix the seal of the corporation there too. Those ratios are listed in item number 11, moved by Wendy.
Sure.
Jerry. Questions on this one? All those in favor? Carried. Council Township of Armour have read and approved bylaw 18-2026, being a bylaw to set and levy the rates of taxation in the Township of Armour for 2026, and that we authorize the mayor and clerk to sign this bylaw and affix the seal of the corporation there too.
Sure.
Okay, got Rod and Dorothy. Those in favor? Tax rates are set. There's an easy one. Council Township of Armour have written approved bylaw 19-2026, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council meetings at its March 2026 meetings, that we authorize the mayor and clerk to sign this bylaw and fix the seal of corporation there too. With meetings on March 10th, 24th, and a public meeting on the 24th. Jerry and Andy. Favor? Carried. So this is just, I think, some administration, Charlene, on the fire chief.
I think it was an oversight from 2022. Remember when we had the tri-council meeting and we went over that bylaw establishing a fire department? It's just,
Our
when you-
partners passed the, have they?
well, I reached out, but I haven't heard anything back. Because we are the Township of Armour, we don't have anything appointing a fire chief. Right? You've got Amy appointing a CMC for different municipalities. But we don't have fire chief appointed for Armour, fire prevention officer, or deputy fire chief. And I did research it. It is a common thing that municipalities do. And there is one statement in that bylaw stating that it's retroactive, which I think that it's something that's happened at 2 other municipalities as well. I just think it's something that we should have.
Just clean it up.
There was a bylaw from 2017 appointing Dave McNay as the fire chief,
I know we've done one.
but it's never been rescinded. So Dave McNay was,
Very cheap.
So we can still do it even though they're employees for Ryerson?
yes, well,
Well, I guess they're not employees for Ryerson, they're employees of the.
they administer the fire department.
Okay.
Okay, so we've got 3 resolutions related. Council Township of Armour have read and approved bylaw 2020-2026, being a bylaw to appoint Joe Reedman as fire chief, who authorize the mayor and clerk to sign the seal of the corporation there too. Right. Got Dorothy and then Jerry. All those in favor? It's a good thing. What happens if we defeat it?
I was like, what if one township's like, nah, we're good.
Township of Armour have read and approved bylaw 21-2026, being a bylaw to appoint Cameron Hafner as fire prevention officer, and we authorize the mayor and clerk to sign this bylaw and fix the seal of the corporation there too.
Sure.
Rod and Wendy. All those in favor? Council Township of Armour have read and approved bylaw 2022-2026, being a bylaw to appoint Evan McEnany as deputy fire chief, and that we authorize the mayor and clerk to sign this bylaw and affix the seal of the corporation there too. Mover, Jerry, Dorothy. Just going back and forth, but
Should have just asked Char what she already had in there, so we could just.
No, keeps them entertained.
All those in favor?
Mix it up.
Sure. It's carried. Last bylaw, I believe. Council of Township of Armour have read and approved bylaw 23-2026, being a bylaw to establish a joint compliance audit committee and appoint members for the 2026 to 2030 municipal election period. We authorize the mayor and clerk to sign this bylaw and fix the seal of the corporation there too. Or on this one. True. Seconder.
What is this for? The joint audit committee?
Audit
Can't get elected without it.
election finances.
So it's a mandatory committee that must be established prior to the election. There's already a compliance audit committee that's in place. Basically, once you submit your financial statement, it is reviewed, and if the clerk foresees that there's anything involving overspending, the clerk can forward it through to the compliance audit committee, which could automatically result in a review at the court level. But there's a form if, say, Joe Public feels that a council member that doesn't necessarily have to be elected, that there's discrepancies in their financial statement that they submit, they can ask for this committee to review it. And they have within 30 days, they must determine whether or not they think that it should be escalated. And if they do, then they have to, it has to be reviewed by an auditor.
Okay.
And then from there, they can determine if there's penalties. If they think that there's something that wasn't reported and there's concerns by the council member or the candidate, they can appeal it to the Superior Court level, but it's mandatory that we have it. And it's usually just in place for the election, keep them for the 4-year term in case there's a by-election.
Okay.
Clear as mud?
Okay, we have a mover and a seconder. All those in favor? That's carried. That's it for bylaws. All right, so we are into reports. First up is the planning report for April. Charlene, anything we should cast our eyes to?
The appeal for the rezoning for the Prentice subdivision expired today. That will be finalized. That file will be finalized, and I'll notify the planning board that because that knocked off, I think, 3 conditions just with that rezoning requirement for the subdivision. Other than that, lots of inquiries, lots of public meetings coming up. So you've got a public meeting coming up at 6:30, our next council meeting, which will be for the shipping containers. The following meeting, you'll have another public meeting at 6:30 for the Armstrong.
The Armstrong.
Lots going on. Planning's picking up.
And then in the midst of that, we have an OLT hearing. And
Yeah.
That's listed.
Now, does all council come to that, or is it just?
For the OLT or for
Yeah.
So this is a public document. It's online with the link. So anybody, Joe Public, can click on this and listen in. This case management conference, based on what I've obtained information from OLT, it's mainly for people that want either party status or participant status, but it's open to the media. Because I did indicate to OLT when I filed everything that this is probably a situation where we're going to generate some media attention just based on the history of it. I have reserved the council room for the day. They've allocated half a day for it. And if you want to come in, and
It's all by Zoom though, correct?
it's sort of like Zoom. You know, I think it's through like the go-to meetings.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, yeah.
I didn't know whether we came in here or not.
You can if you want.
Okay.
You're not obligated to. We will have legal and planner
I
representatives.
won't be here.
And a lot of it's going to be just setting out the framework for the actual hearing, or not be.
Yes, yes. So based on, I think they're aiming for either August or September, based on some back and forth. Don't know for sure, so don't quote me on that. But for the most part, I think it's just to determine the levels of participants in the hearing. So there's a difference between party status and participant status. One, you can have verbal, other is just strictly written submissions, and that's it.
Could be a lot of waiting around too, depending on what they're doing with other cases.
Yeah.
During that half day.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions for Shara or anything else in the report? As you say, it's picking up, so that's good. Next up, 19, we have the library meeting, and this is from February 18th. Back a little ways, that's just the minutes from a previous meeting, I guess.
Yeah, we went over what we did then.
Okay. Next up, we have Historical Society meeting minutes of March 23rd. Probably, did we cover this already in our last meeting?
No, I didn't
We
because,
didn't, because it was the day after.
yes, yeah, we postponed it due to weather for the third Monday in March and went to the February or March 23rd. It's our first meeting here in the Armour Chambers. Worked well. It's great. Nice to walk out of a parking lot that has lights. Meeting went well. We allocated nominated and elected the new board and the officers. So
And your next meeting is next week.
Monday.
All right, any questions for Shar or for Diane since we have her here?
Congratulations to you both for stepping up again. Thanks.
Good work. It pays really well, I hear.
Yeah, it's just awesome.
Love us.
10% increase.
Thanks, Rod.
People 100%, they deserve it.
Well, it wouldn't have hit the report either. There was a question, I think, Wendy, you asked a question at the last meeting with regard to budget, with regard to funding for summer students.
Yeah.
Our funding did come through for
Okay.
Young Canada Works, so
Good.
Diane and I will be going through that.
Didn't get questions.
Any questions on Historical Society? Next up, we have Planning Board. So this is the meeting for March 25th. And we had just a couple of applications there. You see as well that there are fairly detailed minutes out of that meeting, which is helpful. So we are now getting a regular summary every month of the minutes from the previous meetings. Planning Board. Next up, we have the ACE meeting from March report and minutes from the February 26th meeting.
Right. And Rod was gracious enough to take this meeting for me because I was not available for the March meeting. Dave's report's here. No, sorry, Courtney's report's here. If you have any questions, hopefully between Rod and I, we can answer them. Things are moving ahead. Is there anything significant at the meeting that you want to say?
The one thing that was nice was that it was a positive meeting because we weren't talking about municipalities that wanted to pull out. Felt like the first time in a year. So it was back to business. One of the things that was brought up, other than that, was we talked again about the signage of the highway signage, what they call it gateway signage, which ACE didn't get the grant funding for it, but we brought up the topic of, well, maybe we should get this back up, figure out a way to do it anyway. So Noel was there from Fednor. He's Fednor. Yeah, Noel was there from Fednor. And I didn't mean to kind of center him out or anything because we didn't get the funding, but that wasn't really the point. It was just that should the municipalities pull together and maybe look at this? Noel made the suggestion twofold. He said, if you're gonna have the big sign on at the north end and the south end, just pick one to start. So the south end for sure. And do that first if you just want to bite it off. And he said, and go after the municipalities that have pulled out and say, you should be contributing to this. Whether if you're out of ACE, you've made that decision, but you should be contributing to this kind of thing. So I think the group felt that it was something that was important. When you think about the Muskoka signs, when you come into Muskoka, you remember that stuff. And I think it's important that ACE has gone so far. It's like they're 98% of the way there when it comes to branding. Why don't we just finish it? So anyway, that was tabled. So it was a good, positive meeting, and see where it goes.
Maybe just dovetail one or two things in, because you're never going to get me out of the ACE conversation, I don't think. So number one, a good point to note is that the majority of municipalities, whether they're ACE members currently or not, did pass resolutions adopting the Almaguin brand strategy and the Almaguin brand, dating back to, I believe, beginning in 2021 and 2022. So there's that to kind of lean on. And the second point, it was just an update for council. Courtney and I attended a retirement get together for Ron Beijing. So there was a card brought on behalf of the ACE board and a card brought on behalf of Armour Township Council and staff, recognizing all of Ron's contributions over his long lifespan and thanking him for his leadership and support over the years. So just a quick
So he's done.
Yeah, he was winding down his 2 weeks, and then of course, like many of his tenure, is riding out the vacation time that he never used, and another time that he helped out. So yeah, but functionally done here, I think, at the end of next week.
It's been a huge help to the area.
Yeah, to say instrumental in terms of the development and trajectory of economic development efforts, not just with ACE, but back to the Almaguin 2000 days. It's
Very supportive of her.
Yeah, he was among, although he would say that there were the forefathers of economic development in Almaguin, I think he was right there with all of them, although I don't think he'd take that title just because he's part of the federal government, but I'd lump him in there. He can yell at me later for that.
Yeah, it's good.
I'll shoot him an email congratulating him on his retirement.
Any questions for Dave or Wendy on East? Well, the next meeting coming up, I believe, is the same night as the fire meeting. So are you going to the ACE meeting? So we'll divide and come. Been asked to chair the fire meeting because Norm won't be doing it. So. Okay, next up, Almaguin Highlands Health Council. That was the meeting of April 2nd. Yeah. So back on the agenda again was the deficits from the 150 Houston building. The reason being Cheryl wasn't at the previous meeting when we discussed it at length, so she wanted to discuss it again, which was fine. She brought her reports and her viewpoint. I thought Sean did a good job of discussing things openly about what some of the issues are. So Sean has indicated, and I'm taking him at his word, that we are going to get information back on this and a better approach for the future for how the deficits are handled. For example, having a budget and doing more planning ahead of time. So Sean seemed pretty confident that that was coming from their clerk. So we'll see. But the reason that conversation happened again is because Cheryl had missed the previous meeting and she hadn't heard the discussion again. We are working with ACE to get an infographics done of all the successes we've had as a health council over the past whatever years, 5 years, 10 years, however long it's been. So Courtney and Megan have been pulling that together. It looks really good. I haven't had a chance to get back. We're on version 3 now. So the idea is we'll get it down to kind of a 2-pager. And it's similar to the ACE discussions. It's just to get back in front of councils and the public and say, this is what's going on around healthcare that people may not realize. And there's been pretty significant gains over the past few years. So we want to make sure we highlight that. So that's in the works, and hopefully by the next health council meeting, we'll have a version of that we can discuss. And then Cheryl Harrison, the CEO from the hospital, was there as usual. She had also given an update at the quarterly leaders, and I think that's the next thing on the agenda. Kind of the same update, but basically they've been working on alternate level of care. So ALC beds are when somebody comes into the hospital and they have nowhere to put them and they have to find a place in the hospital and keep them. They really shouldn't be in the hospital, but they can't send them home yet. So over the past couple of years, there's been a big push to find places in the community where they can go or have supports at home so that they can go back home. So they have reduced their ALC. It was literally at 130%. A year ago, I think it was 130, 140%, 130. So way over capacity. They were using beds that shouldn't have been used for ALC patients. And it's now down to 80 something percent. Like they've eliminated the overage in a couple of years. And that's the District of Muskoka and the hospital and a bunch of other providers. So it's been, it's a good success story. So
Have they done that by getting people back in homes, or have they found?
yeah, so they've either found places in the community. So the district has been able to find place. I think in one case they had a building that had become redundant and they repurposed it so that they could have it's kind of a halfway place.
That's incredible to
Between there and getting home. And then the supports in the home have been the other thing. Even the hospices, if they've been doing things like they'll have extra beds at the hospice where they can take people in temporarily. So it's a lot of coordination, but good news story. And I think that
one point that I pulled out of that as well is that the trajectory is now under the provincial. This is a provincial issue, but the trajectory is under the provincial numbers as well. So it's a pretty big way to celebrate all of the work that's being done across a number of different departments. Yeah, it's very encouraging to hear the report.
And I think that what's happening in Almaguin is not, and Muskoka and whatnot, is not what's happening in the province. I think that phenomenal things are happening within our communities that are not reflective to what's happening all over Ontario. So really good things are happening here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's been used as a model for. And then the final update, I was at they called the Collaboration Steering Committee meeting this morning, and I presented talking about our expression of interest for the health and innovation hub over here. So there's about 30 healthcare providers that come to that meeting. So we just highlighted it and said, here's the link. And we don't care how you send it. I said, I don't care if it comes on the back of a napkin, just send the information in, show your interest, and we're just trying to build something up. So again, we talked about the successes of what we've had in the Almaguin Highlands. And, so hopefully we'll get some feedback from that. That's it for the Health Council, unless there's any questions. Mac, so the Political Leaders Forum, we kind of talked about that. Dave and I both attended that. That's most of the mayors in the Muskoka area and us, I guess.
Yeah, I see it's not well attended by the other rest of the.
They're all invited, like everyone.
Yeah. That's too bad there's not much interest.
OPP detachment report is item number 25. Well, if there's anything there that jumped out at anybody. And then item 26 was I believe this is the annual Integrity Commissioner Office report for Township. We have a resolution associated with that one. Read in the resolution, Council of Township of Armour accepts the Integrity Commissioner's annual report for the period of December 19th, 2024 to December 18th, 2025, and the Council approved the report as presented. Dorothy. Seconder. Was a tie.
Scratch me off and put both of them.
Any questions on this report?
So there's a fee associated with any investigation. That's up to our municipality to pay, even though it was considered unnecessary. Or there was, nothing found to have contravened the code of conduct, but we still have to pay for that investigation.
Yes.
$339.
Oh, but that's not the fee, right? That's not the fee for the investigation. That's just the fee we pay to have them every year.
That's a retainer.
Yes. So the actual fee will be.
That's automatically.
to the integrity commissioner?
Yeah, when I get an invoice from you, yeah. I haven't received anything for the investigation yet.
We've got a mover and a second. Are all those in favor? It's carried. All right, do we continue on with correspondence or do we take a break?
Just thought I'd interject the report with the building here.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead. We missed that. I wrote that down and forgot to. So Dave has an update on this building.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring council and staff, or council and the public up to speed on what we discovered yesterday in the office building. So we did discover a significant basement flood due to a rupture in our hot water tank. So we may end up with some minor disruption. The office is still working, providing services. The upstairs is not impacted. Staff are in. Depending on, it looks like, thank goodness, we have good temperatures over the next few days because we have service providers. We have no furnace currently, no hot water, and we have contractors coming and going as debris and everything is pulled up. There was significant damage to equipment, to desks, to the walls, of course, carpet, all of that. So we're working through that. I wanted to also just publicly state our thanks to our fire prevention officer for his support yesterday, bringing in a generator to run our sump pump as hydro had to be turned off to drain all of the water out. Also to our roads crew for coming in to assist with getting the water turned off and getting the electricity shut off to the tank, and to our bylaw department for discovering the issue. And I would also say that the response was pretty fantastic. We had support services in the building by about noon, insurance engaged. And we had all the water out yesterday. It does sound that you may not hear it online, but it sounds, if I was to open that door and you closed your eyes, as Jerry mentioned earlier, it'd feel like you were on an airplane. It's pretty loud here currently, but we are expecting approximately 30 to 45 days for a complete restoration of the space as everything gets awarded. So again, appreciate the public's patience in the event that there's any latency in getting back to any service. But again, most everything up here, we're running on all cylinders upstairs. But we'll see how everything lands once the claim goes in. But wanted to provide an update to council and to the public that more information is forthcoming. And on top of all of the challenges we're having right now with water elsewhere in the municipality, a big shout out to all staff for rolling with the punches, so to speak, as Mother Nature and other factors have their way.
Perhaps if we ever rebuild the municipal, it needs to be in the shape of an arc. For anything that may come our way, we're just prepared.
Did feel a little bit like Noah yesterday. The text message chain started rolling at about 6:30. So again, thanks to all staff for rolling with the punches. And our new hire did start. Was supposed to start yesterday, but started today. And
just kidding.
We're off to a great start.
How do you like us?
We have what
we can community blame Dave for the flooding of today.
That's right.
For going forward, we have one salt pump downstairs. Presumably, we're going to put another one. I'm suggesting in the utility room there should be a salt pump. Like right now, the water's got to go clear across the roof, the building, and get to salt pump. Logically, would be we put it there probably because it was wet years ago, right? But there should be one. Just heaven forbid there could be anything happen again. It would make sense to have it in where the water source is.
One of the technologies that we're looking at employing, we spoke with the plumber that was in, that was another thank you was to Almaguin Plumbing for getting here right away to get the report off to our insurance company. But there is a Wi-Fi alarm system that can get baked into the sump pump. So if it's running for any length of time, I will get a notification to my phone saying that water is that there's a lot of water happening. So I think there's a couple of things that we can look at going forward. But Char, did you capture that request in, or do you want me to write that down for looking into their sump pump pit?
For the minutes? Yeah, I was waiting to see what you were saying first before I typed it all out and then have to erase it all.
But you go ahead.
They're unprovoked attack. Okay, we will take a look into that. We were looking at having a redundant sump pump in the same hole in the event the other one quit. We had some issues in the past with that pump, but everything seemed to be working well. And I would say so because it drained about between 8 and 10 inches of water in about 3 hours. So it was working overtime. It doesn't owe anybody any money. So also expecting accounts to see a significant increase. I did send an email to our partners over at Burks Falls. There is no policy for water use forgiveness in events like this. So Cam Hafner had thought that there was probably about 2.5 tankers worth of water in the basement. It did smell like a swimming pool, and although we'd all love to have a swimming pool, I wouldn't have recommended waiting around.
I was excited.
Cannonball.
The water was above the base heaters in the basement. So
significant amount, a lot of people to thank for getting us to where we are now. I don't think on the camera you can see the wonderful blue behind us. Also not a swimming pool, but just making sure that we're not sacrificing more of the carpet
In the deep end.
Yeah.
And what a great sump pump we had then, and hot water tank. It's incredibly efficient. Kept up, even without a bottom.
Yeah, there was something. I was informed that when they pulled the panel off, that we might have had a very different problem. There was some of the wires burned out, and so there was a risk of there could have been a risk of a fire, but there was a lot of water coming in. So the assumption is that it was extinguished by the water rushing through the tank. But so we took lots of pictures. We are cataloging everything that's going out the door, so yeah, we're working away at it. But I appreciate everybody's patience as we navigate that in the event that there are interruptions to services.
Is there any thought is there a possibility that we could have that hot water tank on a separate breaker and it gets shut off on a Friday night?
Oh, that gets shut off on a Friday.
I know when we go away for a weekend, we just shut the water pump and the hot water tank off. Just shut the breaker off. And then if something happens, you're not going to come back to that kind of a situation.
Or go with on demand.
So a couple of things that as of right now, we have okayed a quote to get the hot water tank put back in. It is expected that the quality of the water compromised the tank early, and this was based on the plumber's report. Even though the tank was installed in 2019, the tank should last around 10 years. I believe I was speaking with you, Rod, that 8 years is your
exposed water, hot water tanks. Older folks in this area have always said, if you got 8 years out of your tank, be wary.
Well, a Burks Falls counselor's hot water tank went this week. I was chatting with her. She said it was 6 years old or 7 years old, and it's one of the expenses related to home ownership and being on municipal water. So
it eats away the tanks.
Water stuff.
Yes, yeah. So, and I did mention it just prior to the meeting, but we will be installing a water softener system that will pull that will ease the quality of the water, and we may end up having better water for hand washing and drinking, depending on how well
So we've had the septic problem. We've had the gas leak.
Let's not list them. It's like an invitation to other things.
Floods.
And being the opportunists and the forward-thinking department heads that we have, we're already talking about blowing out walls, expanding offices.
But I was like,
it was a fire sale ideas this morning.
I was like, what
Yeah.
is the replacement cost going to be? Could be the down payment on our new building?
The worst part is our favorite and best fax machine and printer and copier downstairs was compromised. So.
Oh, so does that mean the microfiche is compromised too?
No, microfiche was up. Thankfully, it was up high enough. If it is, we're calling the historical society to carry it out.
Well, good luck for that one. You need a couple of strong men. Might have to be.
But thankfully, our networking area and the microfiche was up high enough to not be disturbed. No compromising to data to digital files and all that type of stuff. So we'll be working through some remediation for a while, and we should have a more fulsome report of impacts.
There was some records damage. Walk up.
My old paper files.
Or second drawer.
Oh, no.
It was with great pleasure when they asked me yesterday what we'd like to do with these boxes.
I bet. I don't think I was out of the parking lot before they started.
No.
Taking my stuff.
It was a great, whose files belong to the municipal clerk. We'd be happy to comment on.
Is allowed to touch anything down there.
So yeah, again, appreciate all the efforts involved, and yeah.
Great work by staff too. It's-
Yeah, that's not funny.
Nobody really knew that all this was happening. You guys were still managing things, so.
Working in the dark because we had to shut the power off because we didn't want to electrocute anybody downstairs.
People in the community are like, what are we doing about the flooding? And you're like, well,
We're letting it in.
send you ask.
Senator.
So any other questions for Dave on that one? Actually, kind of related to that, we should, speaking of reports, MNR does provide reports on a regular basis this time of year. So I've received a few phone calls. This is starting to look a little like 2019 again, so people are getting nervous. But Adam Wakefield from MNR does an excellent job of providing updates, especially this time of year. Certainly every week, but it's been every day this week. So we've moved from being in a flood watch to being in a flood warning. And it's all across the whole area. And watching the news, it's up north, down south, it's the whole area. So it's just one of those things to say to folks, there's not a whole lot. We're aware of it. We're doing everything we can, but Mother Nature's going to do what Mother Nature's going to do.
And the sandbags are out.
And the sand's at the KCC, right?
Okay, sand is at the beach. The sand
Where's that?
bags are at the KCC. We've handed out 85 bags.
You've handed out 85?
Yeah, to two
Got a
residents.
stock of approximately 2,000 to 2,500. So we just, based on kind of where we're at in the office here, we transferred those over yesterday. If we need to move more, we can move more. But
The feedback seemed pretty good, and they liked the location of it because the people who typically need it are Horseshoe Lane-ish. So they were quite appreciative of that. They did not like when I said, sorry, you have to fill them yourself, but
I several videos of filled bags
yes.
being utilized on the shore bank.
we're also monitoring. We have had, I have received a call from a resident on North Pickerel. So there is some sand drop there as well. And I have informed them that if they need some bags to get them started. The idea for us having bags out is to get them started so that they can source them on their own as well. But I think we've limited that between 40 and 50 bags if necessary. So we should have a sufficient supply to help a number of residents out. But it is quite tragic to see some of the impending property loss that people are concerned about. We've got seasonal cottage owners that are watching the water come up on cameras, like surveillance cameras that they have on their properties, and then calling in from various areas with a lot of concerns. And unfortunately, there's not much we can do to stop Mother Nature. So I have been informing people that MNR is monitoring the situation, communicating everything, and outside of illustrating to it's best for them to call the MNR, and if there's a challenge with the roads, to call the roads department directly and put it on their radar.
I did have something posted on the Pickle Properties Facebook page, and just basically said to check the Township of Armour website to monitor any new developments, because we're not gonna post every day to that. Like you need to be aware and
Should we
look it up.
consider some like purchasing some kind of barrier system? Like Dave was speaking earlier about, the steps that are being taken to preserve our roads. I've seen some really cool, I'm sure very expensive, kind of like inflatable long barriers that can be put along roadways to protect them if the water is getting high. Like you said, there's water over the road at Petwind. They could be used in that kind of area.
It's over the road in a number of spots.
But is that something we could investigate purchasing or having our roads purchased so that?
I can take it away and ask Dave to provide just some potential numbers at a time permitting for his next report next month. And I mean, what the impacts to the budget would be. I mean, I think gathering information would be.
I think I have some business cards from a person who it literally like rolls out. It almost looks like an inflatable trampoline.
I've seen similar.
Yeah, and they just
Fillable with water, I believe.
yeah, and they so I wasn't sure
I've
what it
seen
was
that.
inflated with, but it created an immediate barrier, and it took minutes to kind of erect, and then it completely preserved roads that would otherwise, like look at last year again, right? Like roads, we've completely lost roads as a result. So
Well, but we still need, what I think our problem is, our culverts get overwhelmed, so we could bury, like David said, they'll open a road to alleviate the water
yeah,
as opposed to let it wash out. I think that's our problem. Like on my road, there's 2 culverts that are frozen and the water's going over them.
okay.
So it's maybe up where Wendy is on the swamp, that might work.
Yeah, I mean, up our way, there's nowhere for the water to drain.
No,
So it just floods the road, fills the ditches and then floods the road.
yeah, most of ours are overwhelmed culverts.
And if the culvert's not big enough, it's frozen solid. And
Yeah,
one of them
it's
is
got-
halfway.
Our way, the culverts all seem to be running. I think they've done an excellent job of making sure. We had some issues other years because the culverts were had deteriorated, but this year, the culverts seem to be working really well. Anything I've seen, now I haven't been out on all the roads, but I was on some roads in Strong and Jolly yesterday, and I can tell you, as bad as Armours are, they're much better than anything I drove on in Strong and Jolly yesterday. They were just unbelievable.
When I lost the tire on my car, the person that reinstalled it said, "Watch for potholes." Thanks, tips. Like I'll just lie for the next.
Okay, any other reports? Do we want to power through correspondence and then take a break? I have a lot of resolutions to read through. I'll do it as quick as I can. Let's get through the correspondence. So these are items 27 to 46. And read along. First one, we did have a donation for this one last year in the amount of $250. So whoever moves can make a recommendation. Council Township of Armour approve a donation in the amount of blank to Caris Disability Service to support the events they are hosting to provide supports for vulnerable people within our area.
250 is good.
Moved from Rod at 250.
All right.
And a second from Jerry. All those in favor? That's great. Last year, we did 200 for this one. Council Township of Armour approve a donation in the amount of blank to Near North Crime Stoppers to support the work they do in our community.
I'll do 200.
Be for 200. Seconder.
Sure.
Rod. All those in favor? It's carried. Here we go. This is
And the font is even really small.
great. Okay. Whereas a well-functioning and up-to-date assessment system supports strong communities and makes the province an attractive place to invest, and whereas property assessments in Ontario have not been updated in over a decade, making them the most outdated in Canada, while provinces such as Alberta and British Columbia annually current market conditions, and whereas the prolonged pause in the reassessment cycle has created significant distortions in assessed values, resulting in inequities among property classes. And whereas outdated assessments negatively impact investment decisions, economic competitiveness, municipal planning, and disproportionately affect independent small business. And whereas reassessments are designed to be revenue neutral for the municipality, ensure fairness in taxation, maintain public confidence in the property tax system, and support long-term municipal financial planning. And whereas a coalition of municipalities, chambers of commerce, tourism organizations, small businesses, major property owners have called upon the government of Ontario to update property assessments. Therefore be it resolved that the Council Township of Armour calls upon the Premier of Ontario and the Minister of Finance to direct the property assessment to promptly resume the regular property assessment cycle. And be it further resolved that a copy of the resolution be forwarded to the Premier, Minister of Finance, Minister of Municipal Affairs and the Housing Association of Municipalities of Ontario, and the Assessment Corporation for their consideration. And Dorothy, any sections you want me to reread? All those in favor? That's carried. I think we do this one annually, don't we?
No, this one's a new one. It's so long.
Okay. Bonum. Council Township of Armour supports Federation of Northern Ontario Municipalities and calls on the federal and provincial governments to ensure that housing-enabled infrastructure programs are applied equitably across all regions, including northern municipalities that do not levy development charges, and to establish complementary funding mechanisms that provide comparable support to address infrastructure needs, enable housing growth. Proceed.
Sure.
All those in favor? Carried.
Not sure if you guys wanted to do this next one or not.
It's, first of all, I love the name. Like Canadian History AX.
Oh, that's what that is. That's why I wasn't reading it that well.
Oh, sorry, am I reading it wrong?
No, I think you're right. Yeah. Okay, Council of Township of Armour supports the request from Craig Baird of Canadian History AX to partner in the creation of a community history video in consultation with the Berks Falls and District Historical Society, subject to the proposed terms and cost of $500 plus HST as outlined.
Is this not something we could have done through ACE?
So that was my first thought, but for $500, for $500, I'm not sure that ACE, I don't know, like.
Kind of cool. So the Historical Society does follow this Facebook page, and there is regular information. It's, you know, on Canadians. It's an active Facebook page. And basically Craig is traveling across Canada with his dog, and he's recording videos and doing basically the history of different communities. And at that cost, you can see, like, you can review it before it's published or whatever, but it's kind of neat.
I think for $500, that's reasonable. I mean, I think we had an event and the donation request was $750 for a few hours, like certainly was not.
Yeah, it's unique, this request.
Yes,
and it could be something that maybe we could look into working with the library with or whatever, right? I mean, there's an opportunity to get some nonprofits involved in this as well.
The library just did a ton of research into the history of the library. And then I think, did you mention to me that the fire department was doing a history thing as well?
They just mentioned that they had a lot of historic monuments that if we were to do something, they would like to bring that out and then show
Yeah. So like if we did a little bit from the fire department, Heritage Society, library, I think it'd be pretty neat.
Just for reference, when we produced the videos released with ACE as part of our contract for the brand strategy, I believe the sticker price for each video was between $2,000 and $2,500 for anywhere between a 2 to a 3 minute clip.
And we own the rights to this video, correct?
I don't know. I didn't read it. I wouldn't think.
I wouldn't suspect.
No.
We can't share it and use
We
it.
can share it, but we wouldn't own the rights to it. Like once it's posted publicly, you can do whatever you want. You can play video.
Okay, but like the library could add a link and the historical society could add a link and whatnot.
I'm sure.
Okay.
Like add a link to the video itself.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I would.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
Now, again, with approaching us, we got the Township Farmer, the Village of Berks Falls. Is this something? I mean, to bring us in, it's not really Armour, right? Without bringing in the village and for them to get the understanding of.
Well, that actually brings up the question. If it's not come out of the Historical Society's budget.
This is our Heritage Day. We'll stream the video.
Would they not want to look into the each municipality though? Like,
Yeah,
he's
they-
coming to Armour, he's gonna go to Burks Falls, he's gonna go to Ryerson.
Yeah,
I see what you're saying.
each
It could be-
municipality's gonna have to pay their $500.
Yeah.
But if he's between the fire department and the library, that is all three municipalities together, right?
I just don't know how it works because it kind of complicates things, because if he's proposing to do Armour, it's difficult to,
It's hard to separate it from everything.
yeah.
I'd rather do individual.
For 500, I think if we asked him to do the Armour Burks Falls Ryerson Historical Society and the Armour Burks Falls Ryerson Library, and the Armour Burks Falls Ryerson Fire Department.
So we'd have to get our partners to pay for that then as well.
I mean, they don't pay for Heritage Day that takes place on their property, so.
But they offer. And Tri-Council asked me if they wanted any contributions, and I said no, because it was Heritage Day.
Okay.
Or,
So I think it's $500. If he wanted 1,500, because all three municipalities, that's a different story. But I think I would like to agree to pay $500 to have a video for our.
Well, I guess we need to decide what all we expect to be covered. Like, is this strictly an Armour focus, or is this?
That's my point. I would rather just pay the $500 and worry about what we put on it.
And keep it to Armour as opposed
Yeah.
to, yeah.
Yeah,
Can he, if he's including the Historical Society?
well, the Historical Society has information on Armour, but a lot of it is Burks Falls.
That's what I mean, like it seems to me like it would be all encompassing.
he could be the one that defines that.
So is this being asked? I guess I'm a little confused of where it came from. Is this being asked for Armour, or is this being asked for the Historical Society?
Armour.
For Armour.
The resolution wording directs staff to do it in consultation with Burks Falls Historical Society. To put this on staff right now to work on this video? I mean,
No, I
who are you
wouldn't,
going
I wouldn't
to
expect.
allocate to do that?
He does say, I'm happy to answer any questions, discuss how we could tailor the project. So if we want it tailored to just Armour, I'm sure we could. Excuse me.
Why are you looking at me like that?
I'm wondering if we are aware if he's gone to Burks Falls and Ryerson.
I guess that would be my question.
Yeah.
Too would be, it would be silly to contribute $1,500 if he's gonna.
Do we get
You
eight?
can't talk about Burks Falls or Armour without one or the other.
Pay the $500 or Ace to work with them.
Why don't we find out if he wrote a letter to them too?
We can table it.
We have time, yes. I think Dave, he has sent the email to you.
Let's get a little more information.
Table this one.
Well, whoever talks to him, tell him I love the name.
Okay. Stop.
Who moved and seconded that for tabling?
Oh, I don't think we actually got a mover. A second.
Yeah, I-
Did not. We're in a seconder, then we'll table it. Jerry. Table. Okay.
Thanks.
All right, next one's from the Megowan Highlands Secondary School. Council Township of Armour approve a donation in the amount of blank to the Megowan Highlands Secondary School to support their graduation awards program. Last year, we gave $300. Jerry. 300. Second. Seconds. Favorite. Rest is reading material. Highway 1117 safety measures, proposed new transmission line for hydro.
Just on I don't know, at some point I would like to suggest. I think we need safety measures on the highway. We need some rest areas. We've had this conversation over the years. They've taken out all of the rest areas when they 4-laned it. You travel anywhere, everywhere in the world has got rest areas, abundance for people just to get off the road.
Right.
And some just stretch your legs, let the dog walk, do something. We literally don't have anything
We've
from,
got truck laybys that are full of truckers trying to sleep.
yeah,
That's all we have.
and there are very few.
Yeah.
So I think at some point we should, whether we tap in, I was reading the safety and reliability. They should be putting those in. They just make common sense for people to be able to, people aren't gonna pull off the highway and find somewhere to stop. We'll go and see, we'll go until we find a gas station on the highway. There's nothing on the highways anymore from where we go from Gravenhurst to North Bay. So that I think they should be slapping those in periodically.
Photo should probably be aware of that one.
I have huge concerns with the, doesn't us right here, but, there was a highway closure on 17 and, it's the only access. There's no secondary access at all. So people could not leave their homes for 36 hours because the highway was just closed. I had no idea that was happening. Like, I understood that sometimes there were delays or whatnot due to an accident, but I had no idea that for 36 hours, people could not go get groceries.
The highways in the north were really bad this winter. Like they had storms that lasted 2 and 3 days. They couldn't keep the roads.
I met a lady from up almost at the Manitoba border, and the conditions are.
Yeah, it was a real bad winter for them.
It's terrifying. But
It's worth raising the phone. It's a good idea, right? Monthly job reports, seeing right away vegetation management.
I brought this up before just as a question. And when I read this, it spiked my thoughts again. And I said it here, like over the time. Years ago, when our crews used to brush, they would do it by hand and they brushed right to the fence lines. It's just what we did. We do what we do. The roads are growing in. I wanted to ask Dave sometime just what does the impact of roots in the roadbed? Like we won't see the effect this year, next year, whatever. But for some reason, and the railway, there's a good example. The railway does not let any growth bigger than 6 feet ever take place. They maintain right to the fence line.
And then pull it right out.
Yeah. And then, so I'm still looking, like, and I look at our road just as an example. I'll use when we moved out there, the road went to the fence and then it was a farmer's field. Now there's 4 to 6 feet of trees that are this big. Like at some point, that's got to affect the roadbed. Tree, like a large tree uprooting is going to rip the roots out from wherever it is. We do not know what the result of the roads, our shoulders being taken over by the trees. Like I said, in my lifetime, the roads are getting narrower. I was going to ask Dave, ask a question about what will roots do to a roadbed?
Bring it up for the next meeting. We'll ask them. Have a hazmat day, May 23rd.
Gonna be getting an email asking for volunteers for that day.
Oh, yeah.
Just heads up.
Good. All right.
Like everybody, not just you.
I don't have a hair appointment that day. I'll go. Last time I had an appointment, Rod told me to just go and play with the chemicals, see what happened.
Okay, I think that's it for the reading material down at 46. So let's take a break till 9 and then we'll go back to unfinished business. We are up to unfinished business, so item 47 on your agenda package. So the first is the updated library budget. I'll read the resolution and then we can chat. Council Township of Armour approved the 2026 Berks Falls Armour Ryerson Union Library budget in the net amount of $213,869, with the Township of Armour share being $98,722. Sure. Moved by Rod, seconded by Dorothy. Questions for Allison, or the Nevis is actually in Zoom land?
So McMurray Monteith gives us a donation every year, correct? And that is what the Ontario government gives them?
Correct.
Because it's 1% of our budget. Like that is what they're donating to us, 1% of our budget.
For a little bit of history, this was discussed at great length at the subcommittee when we were talking about the library agreement. Offered that same amount to Perry when Perry was building a new one. But if I'm not mistaken, there was a request to come in at a higher percentage. They left. They brought their percentage to Berks Falls. And while the subcommittee had discussed at great length ways in which something could be invited to contribute more potential, more ideas for service, it was ultimately it's not in the purview of the subcommittee to discuss matters that should come through the board side of things.
Okay.
And once the notion was, once the agreement's in place and the other agreements that are in place, would be a loop back around and possibly have a discussion with the library board where in which there could be a discussion on with them and McMurray Monteith on would there be services that could be provided to increase the percentage of the share? Because I think what will end up happening is if you end up going back and saying we want 5% or 10%, they'll see it, Perry, I'll take them back. Previously, and that's just complete speculation from my side of things. But I think they want to be able to say that they provide the service. But at the time, the council of that day, I would suspect, didn't have too many other options, and that.
And it's great that they're at least contributing that much, but
They're not,
like our ratepayers are paying.
They're a non-voting member though. They have no say.
but they're not contributing. My beef is sort of as a municipality, McMurray Monteith are not contributing to the library. They're taking the funding and giving it to the library board. Dave's right. That came, neighbors can tell, but that was probably 12, 15 years ago. And that's how it came. Perry wanted more money. They wanted to do some renovations and they said, we're not supporting the library. So,
but it is costing their ratepayers $0.
that's right. That's my point. They could put a little.
Even if they matched it, even if they said the government gives 100 to 2,500.
There's been at least three terms of council. So their members have changed. They've never been asked in at least two terms of council. That was my point all along was, why do I have to subsidize because we're being neighborly? I would like them to. Now, back when they first came in, I won't go over numbers, but I mean, there had 12 people use the library. It was minor. And we at one time we did the math of they give $1,200. The amount of the people that were using the library was their proportion per
If they paid for the card, yeah.
Their numbers went up close to 100 at one time. Since then, they've dribbled back down because the ratepayers, they do more shopping in Huntsville to go to the library in Huntsville. Maybe they go to Emsdale now because they've done quite a bit of difference. I don't disagree with you. I think they should pay a little bit more. But anything was better than
Yes.
the amount of ratepayers that were using the library was not significant enough to change the amount. At one point, they had significant numbers, they dwindled down.
I certainly don't want to be the person that's their library, right? At all, but it would be nice if they contributed a little bit more so that.
I think from one municipality to another, maybe they could put a little bit of money in their budget to consider it.
But like you said, it's been 2 terms, so maybe it's not even a consideration. It's maybe it hasn't even occurred to them, right?
Oh, it's been brought up.
Oh, okay, sorry. All right.
The only
The
thing,
subcommittee didn't feel it was in our. It wasn't in our mandate.
As it sounds
At the subcommittee, to me, it should be something through,
the library board.
No, the municipality.
well, the library board and the municipality.
Like the library board is ultimately the ones letting them use the library, right? Like the library board's in charge of that, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's up to them to say,
No, because if they're, to be quite honest, why would I want to ruffle feathers if you're willing to pay the whole thing?
True, true.
I'm not going to bring up the issue if you're willing to pay it. I'm not-
it's not the subcommittee. It would not be up to the subcommittee
Right.
to go to knock on a door at a township and say, money, please. Yeah.
It's a municipality thing, but it was, I'm the only one that was in favor of asking them for something. I don't think we ever did. We took the
You were
money,
the only library board member.
pardon me?
You were the only library board member that wanted to ask.
No, but I was the only one on this council that
On
wanted
this
to. Yeah, and it just went, well, leave things alone. But I know, it's been brought up, I bring it up, much like I am right now at the library board, but it doesn't go anywhere because why would we ruffle the feathers? Nieves is good, Nieves is going, like, look, there's other thing, Nieves has taken years ago, she went and did a satellite library, like they weren't just using the library, Nieves was going over there and dropping off books, or they didn't have to come to the library, or to show them, we've got, hey, you like this author, we got a lot more.
And with library loans, I'm sure that that's being utilized a lot as well.
Sure.
how did we get it to be a $27,000 jump to Armour in 1 year?
We changed the formula.
Change the formula.
Formula,
Like to
we
populate.
used to be user pay, and then we changed it. Nieves probably would like to input.
Go ahead, yes.
If you would like to, well, first of all, good evening, everyone. And I'm sorry you are going through some troubles in your office. I'm sure it will get better.
It's
My
Dave's fault.
basement- And yeah, so hopefully you won't be swimming tomorrow, but yeah, it will get better. The current numbers, and just to give a little bit of context, 14 years ago, you are right, Rod, we did a presentation to the Township of McMurray-Monteith to propose that they increase their contribution above what the government gives them. And it was turned down because their numbers really are very low. The distance from Sprucedale to Berks Falls is quite significant. And so only a handful of patrons will be willing to do that drive to use the library in Berks Falls. Also, yes, that's correct. They will use more often the library in Huntsville because actually it is closer to them. Most of the patrons that we have, Huntsville is closer to them than Berks Falls is. However, they have to pay, I believe, a non-resident fee, like we do charge our patrons that are from outside of our jurisdiction, a non-resident fee. So the calculations recently were made. I made the calculations based on the current numbers of Sprucedale users of the library times $50 which is what we charge non-residents. And it is about the same amount, more or less, give $1 here, $1 there, to what they contribute to the library board every year when they apply for the grant to the Ontario government. Is it worth putting that stress and a handful of patrons who are using the library? I don't think we can make a strong case, in my opinion. The patrons that use the library from McMurray Monteith, some of them come from the Land of Lake School. They will stop at the library and then be picked up at the library by their parents on their way home sometimes. Do we want to charge those parents $50 just so that their kid has, some connection with the rest of their peers, a place to do homework, a safe place to wait for their parents to pick them up? So there are a lot of components there that I think that we need to consider before we put that stress on the township that right now, like Rod said, is working. Let's not ruffle any feathers, because they will be in the position to say, well, if you don't want, we'll take it to Perry and give them the $3,000 I believe they give us every year, and we don't have to do really anything for those $3,000. I'd rather have those $3,000 in my budget and work with that.
I had in my head it was $1,200. The others
It's $25.89.
$25. Okay.
Yeah. And some of the patrons who come from McMurray Monteith, actually, I do not want to compare their level of commitment and enthusiasm towards the library in Berks Falls, but they are very appreciative, much more than other residents that are closer to the library in Berks Falls.
It's utilized. I mean, it's if you charge McMurray Monteith, like Nevis pointed out, I wasn't sure on the numbers. Whether if we said you're a non-resident, we're charging you $50. It balances out. It's the same as somebody a non-resident. We're still subsidizing it on that term.
Question, Allison, on the reserve. So are we now taking a percentage of the total library budget and putting it in reserves for them?
Yeah, I did a 2% percentage.
Is it 2% of the 213,000?
Yes.
Okay. I recall Ryerson in their resolution mentioned that they did the same thing. And they actually put it in the resolution.
Yeah.
Should we be doing the same thing?
It's in our budget, so it's not part of her budget. Like, that's our own budget that we did.
Their 2% was for future build reserve.
So ours is just for future capital for the library.
But when Ryerson accepted the budget, they put in brackets after this part that they were taking 2% and putting it into reserves. Just as
They did that with all their budgets.
Yeah.
It's not a bad idea, actually.
Actually, I sort of like that idea because it proves that we did it.
Exactly.
I like that this year you've looked at our budget, you've determined that that's a good idea. Next year you might decide 4% is appropriate. Next year you might decide 1.5% is appropriate. I think that if we leave that to your budgeting discretion and then we can vote on it, is better. No? Well, never mind. Jerry said no.
But having the resolution, it almost gives everybody a sense of what we're doing. Like, if we don't put in a resolution, it sort of might just slip by.
Well, I mentioned it because one year Wendy and I brought this up. It was maybe 3 or 4 years ago at Tri-Council, saying we want to make sure that the other councils put this in reserve. And it just fell on deaf ears. It didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's our responsibility to make sure other people are saving.
Oh, it's not.
No, it's
No,
not.
but it looks
No,
good.
it's just a highlight. It's actually to make us look good. So it shows in the resolution. Yeah, we set the money aside and it's only a comment on the resolution. It's not-
In years past, Tri-Council all agreed we would do that.
But left it to each municipality to take care of their own.
Well, yeah, they have to take her.
So we do have a reserve bylaw, and it actually is stated in the reserve bylaw that you're contributing 2% of the budgets toward your tri-services. Library wasn't specified at that, but I will be bringing forward a new reserve bylaw to
Cover that off.
cover
Sure.
that off and to cover off the new reserves that we created this year.
It's not that big.
Well, going forward, it wouldn't hurt to put it right on the resolution.
Just as a commentary.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mavis, go ahead.
Yes, if I may add to that, to what Dorothy was mentioning, yes, it's actually it was Councillor Marlowe a few years back, if you do remember, at a tri-council meeting. She is the one that brought to the three councils' attention that perhaps we should have been putting money every year on a reserve for the new library. Much to my surprise, because, you know, traditionally, anyways, I will leave that comment out. But so it was Councillor Marlowe actually many years ago that brought it to the tri-council meeting attention. I left it to the three councils that were present that they were doing that. And if you do, I don't know how long Councillor Marlowe has been retired now, but it's been a few years. So that now we are considering is much to my surprised again. But you know, life is full of surprises. So what I would like to know is whether that 2% that you are considering is above your contribution on the budget. So, and I would suggest that it is a separate resolution. That one resolution is for the budget and one resolution is for your commitment to the new library build.
But it's in our own budget.
It's in our own budget. It is separate from
Yeah.
our contribution. So our contribution to them remains at her budget.
Yeah.
And then the 2% is in our own budget.
In our own.
And it's completely separate from
Yeah.
our library budget.
It's not, it's not designated as the new library.
No, it is just library capital.
Library count.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful. And it is there a resolution to that effect?
Well, it's part of
It will be.
budget. Yeah.
Basically part of what we passed tonight.
Yeah, it's part of the budget that you passed tonight.
It's in our reserve budget.
Would that resolution be distributed to the other two municipalities?
So maybe that lends to the point of just adding a quick in brackets onto that resolution as a very quick and easy
Yeah.
signal that.
Just a
that's
note.
happening.
Do
To
you
answer your
see what
question,
I'm-
yeah, but-
Thank you,
yeah.
Dave. Do you see what I'm trying to get at?
I do, yeah. We're not passing a separate resolution that goes to all. If everybody wants to read our budget, then it'll be in there. But this adding a quick in brackets to that resolution as it's on the table currently would be a sufficient signal to partner councils that
Beautiful.
a reserve is being made. So that should sum that up.
Thank you. Thank you, Rod.
So yeah, we did take a big hit on the library budget this year
Yeah, you see that
because we switched the formula.
slip by me.
Now, I knew at the time I
Can't believe
Decided
that one got by you. One.
to the population base
Yeah.
rather than the percentage, I realized we were gonna have a hit.
Things manageable.
And it was double whammy because our ratepayer participation went way down. It just happened. At one time, we had higher people using the library than Burke
Right.
Falls. All of a sudden, then Burke Falls started switched again.
Have you guys seen the Adopt a Book? Well, Roger, oh, you're done writing. The Adopt a Book, there's a list of new books and you can adopt one, you buy it, and then you get to read it first. And then it becomes part of the library, but it like generates a lot of brand new books or new releases at no cost to the library. So it's kind of amazing. I guess there is a cost, the processing cost of the new book, but the purchase price is gone.
Okay, so I just added in brackets. Note that separate reserve budget item of 2% of total library budget has been included in Armour's reserve budget.
Sure.
Okay. Do we have a mover and a seconder? Any other questions about the budget? All those in favor? That's carried. Thanks, Davis.
Do you guys see her floating clap?
Next up, item 48. Resolution from Ryerson.
Yep, I can sum that one up pretty quickly. So I did respond back to staff at Ryerson that according to the agreement, there essentially what I summarized was that there was no entitlement to services. Just so council is aware, the ACE board deliberated on some fees for service packages that who knows, may be brought forward in the future to bring in contributions from non-participating members. There was some fulsome debate around the board table as to the appropriateness of that. During that time, I believe that notion was brought back to Ryerson. So there was, I believe, around their council some discussion that maybe they would get some services. So I'll make a distinction between their entitlement to services for the donation versus what ACE staff may be willing to do on a case-by-case basis as things come in. The reality as it's written is that Ryerson is recognized in the ACE agreement as a non-voting member based on their contribution and their continued investment in ACE despite their full membership share. That, as it's written in the agreement, does not entitle them to services beyond the fees for service that we have listed in our budgets, or sorry, in our fees bylaw, I should say. So that being said, that was what was pushed back. There are no additional services. That the ACE board defeated the fees for service packages to clear that confusion up. But in practice, it's probably not unlikely that outside of the 15 minutes that ACE promises any business that knocks on the door, in the circumstance where Ryerson business or Ryerson's municipality needs some help or advice, chances are we will be there and then bring in fees for service when things get extensive, was the message that I communicated. So that is dealt with, and we'll continue to work with Ryerson staff to make sure that any questions get answered.
Good. What would the fee be for them to be a full contributing member? About 15,000, 20,000 per year?
Yeah, off the top, between 10 and 15, conservatively, I can get you a number on that.
So they're between 50%. Like this is almost a 50%. Now, if they increased by another $5,000, it would almost be a.
Yeah, I'd have to take a look with the members that we lost. I think under a 10 partner model, that was very, very close. Like that, it was.
Yeah, down to 8. So
yeah,
I think it was definitely more.
Like it's unfortunate that they're so close to being a contributing member.
So there's been lots of conversation last year when I was in the dual role. I spoke with various councillors. We've gone and presented back to.
Sorry, that's not. I think ACE is doing an amazing job and they're advocating incredibly well. It's just on. Yeah, you're like for another $5,000, there would be no fee for service. You would be a member. Yes, yeah. It's hopefully.
Well, and to their credit, they do send a council delegate to each meeting and very active. And I mean, if you've ever sat around the ACE board, the conversation's open to the folks at the table, and the push has also been out there for any other non-member municipality. Send someone, come and be part of the discussion. see what it is that we do. So
I'd love to browbeat you into joining.
It's much like working on teeth in a library.
I mean, they're contributing 50% of what it would be. I mean, McMurray Keith is contributing 0, right? This is, you're paying half the fee, but sorry.
yeah, you have to kind of ride that same balance of we're getting the 5,000. It does help the budget.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not,
And
yeah, like,
yeah, no, I see where you're coming
for a
from.
little bit more, you could have it all, you know?
Okay, next up, item 49. This is the notice of the case management conference for the OLT hearing for 219 Peggs Mountain Road. April 29th is the date.
So just a question, we will have both a lawyer and a planner representing Armour Township at this?
After the case management conference, I believe Stefan will be sending a document through so that you guys are aware of costs
Good.
from planning, from Planscape.
Ching, ka-ching.
Hopefully it's just the one session, right?
In August, right?
Well, yeah,
Whenever.
whatever. Okay, item 50.
So, sorry, do we have to?
We'll go back. Go ahead.
So I'm seeing the health center wages and benefits, 66,000. And I asked, I believe, in our last meeting, if that represented the employee's full wage.
Yeah, so I actually asked for this to be tabled again, only because I wanted to have a bit more discussion on it. And we don't have to decide this right now, but I got thinking about kind of the spirit with which we should be contributing to healthcare in the region. And I think we've gotten into a bit of a habit of, because we're so frustrated with the way Berks Falls Council has been doing things, we've been pushing back on stuff that's really impacting community members. And we've got 7 municipalities that use this facility. We don't want to run it. We don't want to own it. We don't want to own 10%. We don't want anything to do with it. But we also don't want any part of running it. And Berks Falls is doing that. So Perry Township actually retabled this and decided to pay it as a donation. Same thing. They don't want any hint that they're putting any money into capital. They don't want any ownership. They just decided to put a donation and said, we'll cover the cost. But in future, we want a process whereby we're looking at all the facilities across the whole Almaguin region and coming up with some kind of formula that's fair to everybody. Because we haven't done that yet. So what Sean had said at the last health council meeting, and the reason that I asked for it to be retabled, was he said they are coming up with a process. Their CAO clerk Denny is coming up with a plan so that in future they'll take out things like the reserve budget, the reserve number,
The $10,000 for the savings.
and they'll come up with a clear indication of what it really costs from a deficit point of view, what it's really going to cost, and come up with a number ahead of time so that for 2027 we can budget for it instead of getting a surprise bill in the mail.
Similar to any other shared service, you present a budget, everybody has their share, and it's not the way it's worded here is a little bit deceiving, because if this was budgeted in 2020, if this was presented in the budget this year, you'd be presented with the total cost, and it wouldn't show up as a deficit, right? At the end of the day, they've run it enough times now that they should be able to present what the budget's going to look like, whether they want to try to still include the transfer to reserve or not. It's a budget line, not a deficit line, if you're budgeting for it in the future, which was brought up at the health council meeting.
I hear what you're saying there, but in my mind, if you're going to have a line item for a budget, councils have agreed that they're going to contribute. We're not here with this yet.
That's right.
It would be lovely to say to all the ACE people, put us in your budget. I know healthcare is maybe thought of differently than economic development, but it all boils down to who's going to play in the sandbox for the benefit of Almaguin, whether it's healthcare, whether it's economic development. And those can be tied together as well. So I
think that it's easier to support healthcare
Oh, it
than it
is.
is like ratepayers are like, I need to go to a doctor in town more than I
to
need.
support healthcare. It's easier to support funding a good fire department.
Absolutely.
Far easier than economic development. I don't think it's any less important.
I do like how you present. Oh, absolutely. Because without economic development, we don't have people living here to fund the hospital, but or to the medical building. I like Perry. I think what you just said about what Perry is doing is great. This is a donation we're willing to make because it benefits our ratepayers, not because you told us an amount that we divide by 9 and deposit, but because we know our ratepayers utilize this service. Absolutely, we're willing to make a donation. I agree that it should be a budget item as opposed to a deficit. And I think like right off the hop that this minus 83,000 is actually minus 73,000, because your savings is not a deficit.
Well, and the capital too, I struggle with. The capital investment for a sewer pipe to update. Like, is that the sewer pipe from the building to Burke's Falls? Is it the sewer pipe right from Burke's Falls trunk into the bit? Like, there's no information.
Well, capital is not really what we're into. It's their building. Capital should be their expense.
Right.
Really.
Well, it's all their expense because
They don't have any skin in the game. That ours is more or less on
An operating deficit.
operating.
And
That's not, to me, capital's not operating.
Did Perry pay the full shot or just a donation?
They paid the full shot as a donation.
As a donation.
So that was when I looked at it, I decided to just erase the numbers from my head, from a budget point of view, and say, okay, so here's what I don't want to have happen, especially as we're getting into an election term. Armour's not supporting the health center. After all the work we've done from a healthcare, Armour's not supporting the health, because that's what's going to get played. And it's going to get played by one person. We know who it is.
Yeah.
And it's going to keep coming up that they didn't pay their amount. Perry paid, Kearney paid, Armour didn't pay. So that's part of the reason. But the bigger reason is, as you think about it, this isn't about Burke's Falls Council. This is about the people that live in the community. And I think
they utilize the service.
They use the service and are desperate to keep it there, to keep what they've got and also expand the services. So I don't want to pay much attention to these numbers. Maybe in the future we do, because they come up with a plan that says, here's what our budget is. This is the deficit. Can you pay us $2,400 next year? It's budgeted for, and we agree to it. This would be strictly, this is a donation as opposed to.
I'm okay with donating, but I think there needs to be some words in there in regards to that capital should be kept out of that.
Well, that's what the donation will be.
We have no desire.
Well,
It's not matter how we're spending this money for
In the
donation.
future, we massage how they word things.
Unfortunately, 3 years ago, we literally said that we will pay that this year, but next year we want to know.
And we want more information. Yeah,
Yes.
we have been here before.
I think we actually said this will be the last year.
Yes, we did say that.
Yeah. So, and then we did it again and did it again. So, but that said, like you said, take all of this out of it. I am a resident of Armour Township and I utilize that building. So I appreciate that my taxes are being used to make sure that I have this facility in my community. I do absolutely think it should be a donation and not an expectation. But like with ACE, you have to rebudget, right? So if they find out that only 6 people are going to make donations rather than 8, is that going to change the requested amount?
In the past, they haven't received money from every municipality, and they just had to fund the deficit.
They just funded themselves.
Yeah.
And really, if you look at the bigger picture going forward, once we get the whole Amagwin area all lumped together, we'll probably be close to that figure anyway. We don't know.
Well, with what you're saying too, will be we're helping this facility. I like the donation. We'll just ignore the numbers. Work on their wording later, but also with the way you're thinking, it was like maybe at one point there's going to be this amount divvied into the healthcare system, where will it go? Because I mean, I go to Sunridge to a dentist. Like, it's just, I know what you mean, it could be divvied a little bit evenly wherever it's
Yeah.
needed, right?
Yeah, like why is Sunridge paying whatever, 50% of the cost of the building in Sunridge and also paying for some of the costs down here?
Right.
It doesn't, it's not really.
Not fair.
It's not
This-
fair.
This is significantly different though, because the first year I was on council, it was just literally the bottom line. There was no expenses listed. It was just, this is our deficit, please give us some money. So we did ask for this and they did provide it.
Now, I'm happy to table this for another period of time until, because they are supposed to come back with a plan for how this is going to work in future years. I don't want to lose sight of this.
Right.
Because I think this is going to be a problem and it's going to be used as fodder. And I don't want to talk about it because we've done too
I
much
think-
support in the past.
I think for $8,300, it's well worth it to our ratepayers to make the donation to the Village of Berks Falls.
So just putting different thought into it. If we continue to walk this, there's potentially going to be any opposition to if we're trying to promote something
new.
extra,
Right.
not take it away, but even extra. If we at least give it to them, that might alleviate the negativity of, we don't want to be putting X-ray there. It's like nobody said what we're doing there. We just want to put something there, right? If they get what they want, they may not be so actively negative for something that we want to ask some money for over there. Like at some point, if what falls through, if what you're proposing falls through, part of the pie will be going to that if there's a new facility over there.
That's right.
Right? So
Which is why we need a bigger picture view of the whole thing.
that's right. At some point, that pie is going to be there, not just in Berks Falls.
Yeah.
In Sunridge.
Wendy, you look like you want to say something.
I've always supported paying this because I firmly believe we need the services here for our community members. I just, and that might be one of the reasons they didn't give us detail before, because they didn't want us to pick it apart and see exactly what was included in that deficit. Because there's some things here that I don't think we should be funding.
For sure.
But I'm torn. Do we defer it and wait and see what comes from Berks Falls, or?
It won't hurt to deter it for a little bit, but I agree with Rod. We should put it on the table either the first meeting of the month or the second meeting of the month, so it's still in our mind.
We think something imminent is coming.
Yeah, I
from
think
Berks
he
Falls.
said, were you at the last health council? I believe Sean said that like it was days away as opposed to.
But-
It was to be discussed at the April meeting.
But regardless of what they present us, this is their deficit, right? Short of maybe $10,000, right? So regardless of what we're given for moving forward, this is what they're needing for us to contribute for last year. So rather than table it, sorry.
2 years.
Well, so that's even better.
Yeah, so
There's two of them.
There's two.
It's been included in the budget.
So times two. $16,000.
No, one's
No.
3,000 and one's 8,000.
Yeah.
It's around $11,000.
Oh, one is three. Okay, perfect. So regardless of what they present us moving forward, I think we should make the $11,000 donation. And then there's no arguing. It's just done.
So this, and that we are budgeted for this.
I did budget for it because I projected that.
You had a feeling? You had a feeling.
She's met us.
So I did budget for it to get paid through this budget.
Good DNA.
So this this resolution mentions the deficit. Should we just change this to strictly be a donation? We're making it $11,691 donation to Berks Falls for the health center building.
Is that going to confuse things going back if you're looking for how many times did we if you ask me to look up something in the back or in the history, I'm gonna pull resolutions with the keyword deficit.
Can you look up
We-
deficit donation?
We're paying it deficit, but we consider it strictly a donation.
It can be a deficit donation.
Yeah, could be.
In brackets at the end, boss.
I agree with, we should pay it. We just don't agree with the actual numbers.
No, and I definitely don't agree with covering capital items there.
Yeah. And maybe with your subcommittee, that could be relayed by the next time they present something.
I'll read the resolution and the way it's worded and you guys can correct me. Whereas resolution number 2026-60, considered at the February 24, 2026 council meeting, which addressed deficit contributions to the Omega Highlands Health Center, was defeated. And whereas council has reconsidered the matter and reviewed the supporting financial documentation, including deficit contributions required for 2025 and 2025 fiscal years, 2024 and 2025, sorry. And whereas the Omega Highlands Health Center provides essential healthcare services to residents of the Omega region, now therefore be it resolved that council approves payment in the amount of $3,338 for the HHC 2024 deficit and payment in the amount of $8,353 to the Village of Burks Falls for the Health Center 2025 deficit, which we consider a donation. And further, the council affirms its support for the Omega Highlands Health Center and the residents of the Omega communities it serves. Further, the council directs staff to follow up with the Village of Burks Falls to review and address the ongoing deficit issues related to the Omega Highlands Health Center and to report back to council with findings and recommendations.
May I suggest something that may simplify that for you?
Yeah.
Council approves a donation in the amount of 3338 and a donation in the amount of 8353. No bracket at the end, you just change payment to donation.
Dave has clearly been affected by this flood. He's to the point.
Well, it's just, you say payment, and then, but it's a donation, just for clarity's sake.
And with the wording of the last paragraph, we're still asking for
Yeah,
a process for the future.
Yeah.
Once more with feeling, like we've done 2 or 3 years in the past. Okay, do we have a mover to get it on the table? Sure. Rod and then Dorothy.
Do you remember that picture I showed you that I was going to use anytime people ask me a specific question? We can just add that to the bottom of the resolution.
Everybody comfortable? All those in favor? Okay, thank you very much. Surprise in their mailbox. Okay, item 51, Township of Armour notice of intent to approve fees and charges bylaw.
Ally actually brought this to my attention. Village of Burks Falls aware of it. We were not compliant with the Bereavement Authority of Ontario. So in 2022, the fees had increased. Terry?
Well, we hadn't updated.
So we don't set those fees, but it was missed back in 2022. And yeah, so that's why we brought it forward and used it as an opportunity to reach out and get Danica. I was aware that Danica needed to amend the fees for because of the software system and go to the hourly rate. So it was a good time. And then at the same time, the new CBO wanted to include fees for plans revisions. So first time, second time. So it was an opportunity to clean things up.
That's for the next meeting, 28th.
Yes.
Also to add a bit of context on the plans revision, first revision, second revision. So Andrew has brought in a new software system for reviewing and annotating building plans. There is significant added value to the process that Andrew has brought to the table. However, I would also posture that for second plan or first plans review, second plans review, third plans review, that was being the original permit. And I believe that, that users who are submitting revisions that require additional work should be paying for that additional work.
Yeah, because it's
well, otherwise it would come out of the straight hourly rates of our staff. And, we also had a discussion about building the software such as Cloud Permit and everything else. Like, we're getting new proposals for things. So Allison, Andrew, and myself had a very brief hallway conversation on the tax base should not be, if fees go up astronomically for one software solution or another, the tax base should not be subsidizing the costs per user
Of somebody building.
and using that software to make it easier for them and for staff to be able to work with. So
We're still involved in Cloud Permit though at this point?
to this point, up until the end of we're in the last year of our 5-year deal.
And we don't anticipate renewing Cloud Permit, or do we know?
Well, so Andrew had a conversation with the CEO of Cloud Permit, in which he basically insinuated that if there was to be an increase, that we would be discontinuing our use of Cloud Permit, which, based on the fact that it was the CEO we spoke with, I'm thinking that they're having a lot of conversations similar to this. So our hallway conversation, while I won't go into detail about it, discussed what we may or may not be willing to absorb as an increase. And a few options were provided. My suggestion was that let's see what they come back with, and because the cost to transfer to another platform is going to be significant in terms of staff time, and that'll all have to happen before or after, sometime strategically, so that the report that we have to get back for the new PSAP requirements has to be completed. Because again, we're only absorbing the fees in the calendar year that the services were provided. So it's not made things easier, let's put it that way. It's while it makes sense to the accounting folks, it's in practice it's a lot of extra work.
But the Cloud Permit renewal is substantial.
Yeah, they really jacked it up.
The proposal was a substantial increase.
The proposal, and again, we haven't accepted the proposal, and it sounds like there's some there's some
back
room for negotiation. But again, Andrew's not married to that program. In fact, he looks like he may be favoring another software solution with some added tools. But we have a bit of time to figure out. So we'll hear more about that. I just wanted to give some context on the plans review side of it. Yes. There is value. It's not just charging a fee for the sake of charging a fee. There's value.
That's a good idea.
Yes.
Okay. Item 52, nominations. It's that time of year. Can't believe 4 years has gone by.
Crazy.
Thursday is the all candidates meeting.
Yes. I didn't put that in your agenda. I put it on your agenda.
It's at the arena, right?
Yes, 6 to 8.
Is it a drop-in or is it presentation form?
We are not bringing in MMH or anything. There was too much duplication based on what the clerks were preparing, so it's just the clerks.
Thank you.
53. Notice a public meeting for April 28th. This is for the shipping containers, right?
Yes, so you had authorized Bob to proceed with drafting the zoning bylaw amendment. It's taken me a bit to move forward with it just because we use Planscape. I asked Planscape to review it to make sure that they were aware, because it was going to be a change to the actual zoning bylaw. I wanted them to be aware that this was coming down the pipes. So Planscape actually did provide some revision requests, and there's some back and forth with Bob on it. In the end, it seems like it's pretty solid zoning bylaw amendment. It's very clear that with the change in the building code, if you have a shipping container that's under 160 square feet, you can have it on your property. If you want one that's larger, like, what's it, 40 yard splits? Yeah. You need a zoning bylaw amendment. 40 feet.
That will encourage people to have them small ones for sure. And we can still control where they can locate them on the property.
Yep.
Good. Okay. 54 is another public meeting for, this is a zoning bylaw amendment for the Armstrong lot addition.
Yes.
That's May 12th. To 6:30. I guess you're just figuring it's going to be a short one, so we don't.
It's been, the ones that I'm pretty sure are only going to be no issues. I've been doing them around 6:45, but these ones, I don't know if it's gonna generate public, so as well allocate some time.
That'll be before the next council meeting.
So you got, the next council meeting's at 6:30, you have the public meeting, and the following meeting is going.
To 6:30.
2 away.
Okay, item 55, Health Unit Environmental Summer Beach Program.
So on that one, Amy and I did attend the virtual session. I'll truncate that. There's some good information in our report. Read through it if you haven't already. But the Coles notes is that there's a lot of logistical challenges with the courier. Like there's courier constraints on getting the samples back and forth. There's further logistical constraints on staff and shipping and timing and messaging of when the samples get collected, when the messages go out. A lot of that comes to the fact that when you send a sample back, it could take days or up to a week to process that sample and understand what's in the water. What's in the water is a snapshot in time, and a lot could change. That also doesn't take into we'll paint a picture of, little Johnny goes to the beach. Yeah, may drink a liter or two of water while he's playing in the water, but we don't know whether he's been making sand castles and has sand that goes in that it ends up becoming ingested or touching any equipment or whatever the case. There's a lot of ways that things may not be detected in the water sample, but that may be entering a system. So reports and sampling are really just a snapshot in time. But by the time we get the information and they post something, chances are that the situation or the water quality or the contaminants or what have you may be entirely different. So I had asked, as council noted, is there an opportunity for us to participate